everybody. This is Tassia from Love Light Home Design, your home harmony healer. Now, today we're going to be talking about the elements of Feng Shui. This is one of the most important, as far as I'm concerned anyway, one of the few important videos that we're going to be talking about, because I use these in everything I do. Now, what is a Feng Shui element? So think about it. Feng Shui defines energy, the qi and the life force of what happens on this earth. And the elements are what the planet needs to grow. It's manifested in these 5 elements. So what are the elements? We have fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. These can be represented by the actual element themselves or by color or shape. So in design, I use them in my decor. Obviously, I use the actual elements, especially if it's wood or water. But I can use it, say for example, in what I can use a mirror. In metal, we have colors like gold and silver, but I can also use white, gray, or any pastel color. And, you know, fire could be the actual fireplace or something like candles, or, you know, as I said, we have star shapes. We have things that there's so many different ways of looking at it. So the video is too short for me to go into it one by one. Now, what I really want to talk about is the 3 elemental cycles. How do I harmonize a home? Now, it's not only for design, but when I do a measurement with Feng Shui, I actually measure the home and find out which room is of what element. And I figure out what your personal element is, because that's pretty important when you're sleeping or you're trying to feel energized. I don't just use it to figure out, you know, what to do with the design of a home. I want to know if it's going to affect you when you're sleeping, when you're working, or whatever you're doing. That's important. And we will talk about, especially right now when we're sheltering in place, we're fatigued by the 4 walls around us. So what can we do to energize you, to make you feel less tired in the space you are? And how does it affect you in terms of your health, your wealth, and your happiness? Now, there are 3 elemental cycles. The first is called what we call the creative cycle. And it's where an element nurtures and strengthens another element. So let me give you an example. Fire strengthens earth, because whatever you burn, it burns down to ash and goes back to the earth. Earth strengthens metal, because metal comes from the earth, like gold and silver, iron ore, all comes from the earth. Metal strengthens water, because it creates water, and it's one of the few elements that can hold water without breaking or leaking. Water nurtures wood, so if you need to grow a plant, you need water. And wood nurtures fire, because you burn, obviously, wood to a fire. We also have what we call the destructive or controlling element. So water controls fire, because it puts it out. Fire controls metal, because it burns metal down when and melts it. Metal chops wood, so it controls wood. Wood breaks through the earth, so a plant breaks through the earth and dissipates it when a plant is growing. And earth dams water, so if you have a dam for water or something like that, you control water by earth. We also call, so I use that when something needs to shift the energy. When do I use a destructive cycle to control something? When something is really difficult, then I use something to like totally dampen it. Most of the time I'm using either the creative cycle or what you would call the weakening cycle, because I don't want to put something in place that is going to cause a lot of energy to come in. So the weakening cycle is just the creative cycle going backwards. So wood reduces water, because when you water a plant, you use the water. Water weakens metal, so when you're dripping on something, it weakens something. Metal weakens the earth, so when you take metal out of the earth, you leave little pockets, and that weakens the earth itself, so it can sometimes collapse, or it's not as stable. Earth weakens fire, so if you put a little bit of earth on the fire, it kind of like dampens a little bit, doesn't put it totally out, unless you put a lot of earth on it. And fire weakens wood. So we call it the reduction or weakening cycle. So how have I used that in my Feng Shui and in my design? So I'll give you a couple of examples. I had a client who was getting constantly burnt in her kitchen. We realized that the kitchen was a fire element with 3 flame. Now, it was also a prosperity point. So, you know, when you feed yourself food, when you cook yourself food, you don't want to like take away the prosperity point because you want to be healthy. So what I wanted to do was to make sure that she didn't get burnt. So what would weaken fire? Water. But I didn't want to put out the water. I just wanted to reduce it to a flame that wasn't causing her hurt, because she was constantly getting hurt in her place. She's constantly getting singed. So what we did was I asked her, and it's the kitchen, so I can't put like a big, piece of art with water elements in it, and I can't put a mirror in the kitchen. So I asked her to get a little utensil jar that was either blue or black. Go get it yourself. You didn't need your decorated. Go shopping for one. Just one little jar. She put it in her kitchen, and it's been 12 months, and she's not got burnt once. When I check when you're sleeping, I've had lots of people who are sleeping in an element that doesn't help them, so they're either cold at night. Sometimes I just ask them to shift sides of the bed because the bed happens to be in 2 different elements, and I've had people come back and say, hey, I'm now warm every single night. I've had people who've been unhealthy and sick in the night, and I've just changed around some elements, and by putting things in place that are decor place, and they're sleeping better, they're healthier. I will also show you a picture of my good friend Renew, where she was wearing, she was doing a photography shoot for her book, and she wanted to know which blouse suited her better, so that she could use that as her photograph, like her. And because she's of the element earth, she basically, when she wore white, that's metal, and remember, wet metal takes from earth, so she looked a little bit I wouldn't say as energetic. Her face wasn't glowing, but when she actually wore a magenta blouse, that is the element of fire, and her face glowed. And I want to show you these pictures because it's a prime example of when you use the elements, even in the clothing that you have, how it supports you. So if you would like to know a little bit more, right now I know that a lot of us, as I said, are at home and sheltering in place. I am giving an offer to anybody who wants it. It's not my usual, because when I go into your home, I do this anyway with a Feng Shui assessment. But since I can't go into a lot of your homes, or we're doing a lot of this from a distance, if you need energizing, I can tell you what your element is. What I am also doing for a lot of my clients is actually doing a Zoom call for about 20 or 30 minutes, where we look around your house for things that we could use in terms of boosting your energy, especially if you're setting up an office space or your bedroom, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not feeling well. These are all things that I can do for the time being. It's an offer of $120. Usually, as I said, it's part of the assessment, and it can go anywhere between $600 to $1,000. We don't want to do that here. Now, I just want you to know, please know that your Feng Shui element is not based on Chinese astrology. A lot of people have asked me, is it the same thing? It is not. So I am in Chinese astrology metal, and my Feng Shui element is wood. It's not the same thing. So just so you know, if you do want to take advantage of the offer, please send me an email at info@lovelighthomedesign.com. Give me your name and your email, and we'll get in touch. Or you can personal message me if this is something that you're seeing on Facebook, Instagram, or on just basically on Facebook. You can personal message me through personal messenger, and we can get in touch and we can chat about it. All right, so for today, I'm wishing you a blessed week full of abundance and energy. Even though we are in our homes, I'm hoping the weather's turning, because it's just, I feel warmer already. All right, so Tassia from Love Light Home Design, your home harmony healer, bringing the heart to every space. Bye, guys.